The Manor Lords tutorial doesn't explain much, so in this beginner's guide I'm going to go through everything from the very basics up to the more advanced stuff, and I'm going to play along with a fresh game and show you everything so that you can just get into the game and enjoy it, or if there's things you don't understand, you can just hop in and out. I'll put timestamps down below, so let's get going. So in Manor Lords, when you start a new game, you will have a homeless people camp, basically. Some supplies. It's very, very basic, and you'll have a bunch of villagers dotted around. If you zoom out, you can see the region, and there's other people here. We don't need to worry about them too much at the moment. But what we do need to look at is the resources, because it changes every time. So here we have iron, we have wild animals, we have clay, we have stone, and we have berries. You don't need to worry about these too much to begin with, except for maybe berries and wild animals, because you need food. But the iron and the stone, they're for more advanced buildings. Really don't need to worry about them right now. But just make a note, a mental note of where they are. So if we zoom back in to our people here, let's go through the taskbar here. So here it tells you that you have 5 unassigned families. Then the next icon is how many families are assigned. Now, Manor Lords is weird because it works in sort of families as well as individuals. So you have 0 living space, 10 population, and if you hover over it, you'll see that you have 5 level 1 families of 8 men and 2 women. The way you assign is based on family rather than person as well, so we'll get into that in a second. Here you have your approval rating, which affects your population growth. Basically, if you're a bad ruler, this will be, the lower this number is, the less people want to stick around and they'll leave your settlement. The higher the number is, it means you're attracting more people. People are happy to stay there, and they also want to fight for your settlement when you create militias and armies later on. Public order is exactly what it says. It's, bandits, and if people are unhappy, this goes in hand. This is regional wealth, basically, kind of how much money you have, how rich your villagers are, and how much trade is coming in imported. This is how much livestock you have, this horseshoe. Of course, everyone starts with 1 oxen, which we'll get to in a minute. But it also counts horses, mules, sheep, lambs, your pasture animals. This here is an important one, so you want to keep an eye on this. This number with the barrel tells you how many months you have before your settlement starves to death, basically. So as you can see, it says every burgage plot consumes 1 food and 1 fuel per month. It's doubled in the winter. Luckily, you always start in spring, or, well, mainly start in spring, in March, so it's a good time. So we'll get into why that is in a minute. So additionally, some workplaces consume fuel as well. So at the moment, it's telling us we have 4 months before everything runs out. Here we have construction. So this here, basically, you have to hover over it because 38 what? I mean, you hover over it, you see, okay, so it's 8 timber, 20 stone, 10 tools. That makes a total of 38. It's not really that helpful, but you need to go into here. You'll mainly want to focus on timber to begin with. So, food. Again, this just has a random number, but when you look in there, we have 20 pieces of bread. Fuel, same thing, firewood. So this is crops, and then you hover over it, you see what crops you have. Crafting materials, which really aren't too, important in the beginning. Then we have commodities, and then military. So, then up here you have your influence, how, taxes, blah, 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 blah. Really, what we need to focus on to begin with is housing your settlers and feeding your settlers. So, these supplies are physically what's in this toolbar up here, but they will need to go somewhere. So, you will need to build a storage area, but we'll start with the basics, and we'll look at how to construct roads. We don't need to look at the army yet, but let's start with, the game is paused, we start in spring. We've zoomed out, we understand that these resources are on the map. Something else to look for is this icon here, which is a trade point. Now, this is off the map, technically. But as you can see here, this is a major road. So we zoom in. Oh, so the trade point is off the map. And what happens is traders will come in on this road and they will just go all over the map and stuff. Now, if you notice, your settlement isn't connected here to this road. So that will be important to remember for later on, because you will need to build a road to this to be able to trade and get goods in and goods out. Now, let's talk construction and the first things you should do when you've started your game. So your 10 families will, or your 5 families, 10 population will live in these homeless people's tents. That's not very good. It's okay to begin with, but as you can see, it causes a loss of approval and you can freeze in the winter and people will get sick, which just really messes the whole thing up. You start with a hitching post and it has an ox there. Now, let's talk about housing, food, and how that relates, construction, and how it relates to the hitching post. So, when you click on something, so say the hitching post, it will give you a general, a people tab, an advanced tab, and a livestock tab. We can see Bartholms, or Bartholms, however you pronounce that, is the actual ox's name. And he is there waiting to be used to construct something. Now we go to general. There's no families assigned. Now, the ox and the hitching post is the most important thing to begin with, because the ox will physically pull the lumber from storage to construct things you want to construct. So the way that this works is if you just leave it, nothing will happen. You have to, and this is like this for every single sort of structure in the game, and I'll show you that as we go along. But to begin with, you want to click this, and you want to click this little plus sign, because this assigns a family, which is how Manor Lords works. So you've assigned one family to this job. So basically, one family will now use that ox, or part of that family will use that ox to carry supplies around the map. So, okay, we've got someone assigned. Now, we really need to house people. So we click construction down here. And as you can see, we're on the gathering tab. So this shows you all the buildings that you can construct that are to do with gathering. So we have logging camp, woodcutter's lodge, saw pit, forester's hut, hunting camp, and forager hut. So most buildings and nodes and everything that you can construct will use this here, timber. Some require planks, but that's mainly churches. More advanced buildings you need to convert to refine the raw timber into planks. But most basic buildings, as you can see here, construction cost 2. Now if we look in here, we have 8 timber. As this expands once you go onto the construction tab. So logging camp will fell trees to produce more timber. Well, that's very important. So the woodcutter's lodge costs 1 to construct. Now, let's make a clear definition here between logging camp and woodcutter's lodge. The logging camp fells timber so that you can construct more with that timber. The woodcutter's lodge will cut trees, but for firewood, which you will not need in the summer months, really, but as winter comes, is very important to keeping your houses warm, but also some, without getting too much into it, some, like some mining buildings here, they will, and some other, other buildings will require firewood to function. So like smelters and things like that. But we're getting ahead of ourselves, so let's talk. Okay, well, a logging camp should be one of the first things that you construct, because it produces more wood, which allows you to construct more buildings. So, we've clicked it. It will cost 2, and we can zoom out and see, well, where's a good place to put this? Well, near a lot of trees, I would say, and there seems to be a big forest here, so we'll go up here. Now, you can see these dots coming off of the kind of area that I'm going to place this. Those are where roads will connect to. So you need to take this into consideration when you think about how you want to place your roads. So I want to place this around here. Now I'm going to left click and hold, and that allows me to rotate. So I'm going to left click, hold, do that, and I'm going to then click. So I'm going to right click to deselect. Now this is, if we play at normal speed, you will now see any free sort of villagers. You'll see that person start heading towards the ox because we've assigned them. Or not that person, but someone. It may be, yeah. And other villagers will now start making their way over, because what needs to happen is the ox needs to bring the supplies, and they then need to construct that with those supplies. This is where Manor Lords is very, very realistic, because everything happens in real time. It's not like Age of Empires where you don't see it. So let's speed it up a little bit. That ox has just gone. Got one log. He's going to go up there, and he's going to deliver this to them. They've already started kind of doing it, and then this here, you can see it's that much completed. They're going to use that timber he's brought to start constructing buildings. So let's slow it down, and let's pause it. Now, to make this more efficient, we need to build a road. So we'll click roads here. We'll left click this node, and then we'll say, oh, okay. Okay, well, all of these need to be connected via a road to make it far more efficient. So I will click this here, and then I will click again, and that just immediately builds a road. Now, roads are the only thing that really happen immediately. So once you've kind of decided where that's going to go, what you want to do is come and connect these kind of, you know, the camp and the hitching post all together like this, so that all of these resources can quickly, you know, be pulled by the ox up there. So we'll go back, we'll fast forward. As you can see, it's now been constructed. And we have some red things that have popped up here to say bad. So, 5. There's 5 families, I believe. 5, yes. Well, there's, yes, 5, homelessness 5. Basically, 5, all 5 of our families are homeless, it's telling us, which means, you know, they can freeze and you lose approval. Thank you. Exposed goods. So, you know, as in real life, we have a bunch of goods here that are just sitting out in the open. There's all this bread that we have, that we were given to start with, and it's just sat in the open air. So what will happen is that these will kind of be vulnerable to weather damage, they'll rot. And it's the same with the exposed supplies here. They need a storehouse. So we'll keep playing, we'll resume the speed, and we'll look and say, okay. So now that this has been, the logging camp has been built, we want to assign a family. So again, we'll come in here, we'll click assign, and then you can see when you click people, it will show you a line that shoots to people who actually work there. Again, you can go into advanced, and you can, in more advanced terms later on, you can permanently assign livestock there to help move things and do it. But at the moment, we've only got 1 ox, we can't do that. So we've assigned a family to work there, which means you can assign up to 3 families. I've assigned 1. What they're going to do is just cut wood. In fact, I'm going to assign 2. So that we cut wood faster and we get more resources. So now, what we need is to deal with the supply issue. So we'll come down here, we'll go construction. Now, we want to go to logistics. Now, as you can see, there's granary. It's going to cost 10 stone, and we have 20, and 2 timber. So, as you can see, it says workers collect, store, and distribute goods using the pantry. This is really important. So, we need a pantry to hold our food. again, so we can basically connect it wherever we want. I will put it there. It's right on the road already. And as you see, they'll start moving over. We also want a storehouse. It's going to cost 2 woods, and this is what stores, you know, your wood and everything. So again, we will just do that. And we'll fast forward, and they will all start making those. Again, you can see the ox grabbing supplies, moving it to where those supplies are needed. And then he'll go up here, and he'll grab the timber that they've felled, and he'll bring it back. As we'll see, as these are, you know, stored, you can assign people here. So we'll assign a family to that. And as you can see, we've got 1 family left unassigned. So we'll assign them to that for now. Family requests more market area for their stall. So what this means, and this brings us to our next point, is that, okay, so the granary will store the food. As you can see, they've put the bread in there, and the storehouse, they've put the fire with the stone and the tools. Great, but what does that actually mean? I mean, what do we do here? So what we actually need to do next is create a market. So we'll go to industry. I'm pretty sure it's industry. No, maybe not. Trade, sorry. And oh, administration? Oh, anyway, it's under residential. Marketplace. So, as you can see, it provides a space for the assigned families to set up their stores and distribute their produce to the burgage plots. Now, burgage plots are housing. We don't want to do this yet because we haven't built any houses. But we have 9 timber thanks to the things we've been doing. So, why don't we create some houses? So, it's a flexible plot, and the way this works is you can find a plot point. So we want them on the road so they can leave the house in the morning. So we'll click, and then you drag it out however long you want it. So we'll say this. You mark an area, and then within that area, houses are built, which you will see. Well, I click here, and then I'll go back here, and again, it's telling me in all this time how much is used. So it will cost 6 of 9 timber. And it will give us 3 burgage plots, which is enough for 3 families. So that's good for now. Let's click there, and then you click this hammer, and then the families will start building those burgage plots. And this will then give them homes to live in. What you may need to do is unassign families. So that, because it's only unassigned families that can be used as construction workers, which you can keep track of up here. So, as you can see, they're going in here. Their ox is bringing the wood straight, well, not straight here, but anyway, it's bringing it anyway. They've constructed a house. They've constructed a house. And they've constructed a house. And as you can see up here, as we're building houses, this tells you, okay, we have 3 families that can be accommodated in the living space. Now let's pause it. We've got more timber from the logging here, so let's create more burgage plots so that they can live. So we'll create them on the other side. So we'll go like this. Again, we'll click here. You plot each 4 point. Do this. And there we go. We can build more houses for up to 6 families, which should be good because we only have 5 families. With a total of 13 population, which this has actually grown somehow. I guess they've had children. And again, you hover over, you can see. Now, while they're doing that, let's look at the burgage plot. So you can click here and you can see, oh, you can construct a backyard extension to add functionality. This here tells you amenities. Do they have water access? Because it's a black diamond, it means no. Do they have a church? No. Do they have stalls to sell their goods? No. So what we need to do is construct a well so that they can get water, because they need to drink and they need to eat. As you can see, we're marching through time and we only have 2 months left, because every burgage pot consumes 1. So what we need to do quickly is create a well. Now, it must be built over underground water. So, okay, when you click it, these blue sort of veins appear, which means you have to place the water in one of these. So we'll just put it over here for now. And we'll click, then we will connect it to a road by clicking like that and building the road. Go away. Oh, I want to form a militia right now. So you'll see someone go over there. So that's the basics of what you want to do. When you start the game, we need to house people, we need to get wood to create more buildings, otherwise you won't create more buildings. Then you need to build a storehouse and a granary to store everything. Now, what do we do once this is done? So now you've got your houses, we can come here, we can construct a marketplace, which, as we found out, was residential. This doesn't cost any resources whatsoever. You can just construct this wherever you want, and we can do this and do that, and great, you know, assign that area. And what will happen then is they will use that area to trade what they have created at the granary and the storehouse and things. They will use this to trade bread, and that will be both with internally and externally. So what we need to do, remember earlier we talked about the people coming in here. Well, we're not actually connected to that network really. So again, we'll create a road off of this road that connects to that road. And that way we can actually trade with the wider world here. So we've got our water being constructed here. Now, we need to think about, we have no food, right? We have no food construction. So we'll go here. And we'll go to gathering. So we've got hunting camp and we've got forager's hut. Now you can also farm for food, but this takes time. So what you want to do to begin with is go for either hunting or gathering. And to begin with, the hunting camp has no construction costs. So we want to click that and we want to zoom out and we want to see, okay, well, where are the animals? Well, there are the animals. Right, we don't want to put it in here as it says causes migration. If you put your camp there, it will make the animals relocate. So we'll put the camp, say, here. And we will connect it with a road to this road so that they can bring... You have to keep in mind that these people are going to physically bring these resources from this place the whole time. And bring it back. Also, when something is going to be built, you can dictate the priority in here. So we've just had the well finished, which is this, which is great. So now we can bring that back and see. So we have 2 unassigned families. We're going to want to keep one because the hunting camp has just finished. So we want to click that and we want to assign a family, or even 2 based on how much food you think you're going to need. So we've assigned a family there. Now let's look at the marketplace. Okay, so we've got no fuel or anything, and it's not being distributed if you look. So let's assign a family to the pantry here. And what that will do is that will make that family take that food and go to the marketplace and basically sell it to these people. Trade with these people so that they get their food. So we'll speed it up and we'll see how it all goes. So there's a guy in here. As you can see, he's hunting. They're skinning, they're doing their thing. And then they're going to walk all the way here. And then someone's going to bring a cart, load that cart up, take it all the way back. So again, this is where Manor Lords is really, really realistic compared to most other strategy games, because this is what happens. You know, you can see it happening individually in real time. And again, I don't really need to explain that. This game has been very well received. It's a shame it's so early access, really. When it's finished, it is going to be great. As you can see, we have a store here now. We have a food store because we assigned a family to the granary to redistribute that out to the burgage plots. So you can see her, you know, transporting meat to and from this place, which is exactly what we want. So if we just watch it for a little bit longer, you can see her going there, stocking this market store full of all the food from the granary to redistribute it. Now, let's talk. Again, if you hover over here, we have food for 4 months, but we have fuel for 2 months. So we need to construct a woodcutter's lodge for firewood. So we can do that basically just up here. And turn it that way. Do that. We can connect it before it even starts, and we can connect it to the marketplace. See, so unassigned family. So you need to then think, okay, where can I unassign a family from? Well, we have 2 on the logging camp, so we'll take 1 off because we actually have quite a lot of timber right now. So that those people that have been unassigned will now build this. Yeah, as again, running out of fuel. And what we'll do afterwards is assign them to the storage so that they can set up a market store. So basically, anyone you assign here, you might wonder why, you know, oh, why would I assign someone to the granary? It's just somewhere where you store it, which is true. But what happens is, as you can see, you know, that moves the resources from there to there, from the granary or the storage to the marketplace, and then the marketplace sells it to these burgage plots, which are houses. And now we have a woodcutter's lodge. So let's assign someone. Now we've used up all our families, so you have to jiggle it in the beginning until you get more families, you know, coming to live there or reproducing. But that's how you do that. So hopefully this has helped you. If you want a part 2 that goes into more detail from here, let me know. I will be happy to record that for you. And hopefully this has sort of helped you out a little bit, kind of shown you what you need to do. So the key thing, again, is to firstly build a logging camp to get more timber so that you can create burgage plots. If you try to create burgage plots immediately, you will use all of your timber and then not have any to go in and construct the logging camp, which costs too. So you need to create the logging camp because wood is needed to build everything. Then you need to build the houses, build a storehouse, build a granary so that the resources you start with don't spoil. Then you need to look for a way to get food, which in the beginning, wild animals or berries if they're close enough, also good. And then later on you can upgrade to a farm, which we can go into in a part 2. So hopefully this guide's helped you out. Get started in Manor Lords. As I said, let me know if you need a part 2. If you're still here, you know, do me a favor and leave a like, a comment, a subscribe. Anyway, thanks for joining me, and I'll see you in the next video.